Professor Dr. Milo helped me find 13 hacks for ChatGPT and its new 4.0 image generator, which will help you create best-selling t-shirt designs more easily. So the first tip is that you can now use very simple prompts like create a funny t-shirt design for a biker, and it will actually do a lot of the heavy lifting for you in terms of potentially adding a phrase, and it even removed the background right here. And this looks like a cool design, to be honest, and fueled by caffeine and gasoline also kind of rhymes. It's always good to cross niche with coffee. So I'm really impressed with this result right here. And by the way, I'm using the O3 model right here for all of these examples. It should also work with the GPT-4 one up there, but in terms of the image generation, it uses the same model anyway. It also takes more time to think through its result. That's why I quite like the O3 version. So that was really quick. It also explains a few things down here. If you're not sure what sort of design to create, this is a quick way to come up with ideas and actually get some visuals straight away too. Tip number 2 will help you improve your designs if you're struggling to create good-looking t-shirts. So I purposely designed a bad t-shirt right here. I love you very much, and asked Chat, how could I improve this t-shirt design? Take note, you should probably say t-shirt design so it knows what this is for. Otherwise, it might give you suggestions that turn this into, a marketing design or something that is for a different product entirely. So it thought for 12 seconds and then gave me a ton of suggestions. And this is really handy because it tells you things like tighten the visual hierarchy, spot color the word berry, match the font essentially to the illustration, which is very true. The font doesn't look good in combination with that strawberry whatsoever. And this can help you in many ways. It can, first of all, teach you how to create better designs just by reading through this and kind of identifying where your mistakes were. But on top of that, and it even says mind the merged by Amazon tech specs here. That's pretty funny. It's got the right dimensions. But you can even ask it, once it's done with this, generate an improved version of this design, and it will do it for you straight away. And this is already without a background, so I pulled it into Kittle right here so you can compare, and that definitely looks a ton better than the original. There's definitely still other ways to lay this out, or maybe use the strawberry as part of some of the letters right here, but I think the improvement is very, very clear and easy to see. It's also easy to read. If I zoom out right here, the left-hand design looks kind of strange. The letters not very easy to digest, whereas on the right got obviously the focal point with berry right here and a very easy to read bold font. This is also a good tip if you've got existing sellers. This is something I've started doing. Designs that are already regularly selling for you, just throw them into ChatGPT and say, how could I improve this? Or is there a new way I could create this design, a new spin on it? And it can give you some suggestions on how to improve the design that's already working well for you, which is obviously good. So you can potentially get even more sales than you are getting already. Another thing the 4.0 image generator is really good at is changing the style of a design. So if you've got this as an example, very cartoony, kawaii themed, but you want a vintage version of it to appeal to a different target customer, then just say, change this t-shirt design into a vintage style on a white background, and there we go. It's done that. It looks very close to the original, very, very similar in terms of the layout and the graphics. The only thing I can quickly spot is that we've got a slightly different scripty font right here rather than that kind of bubbly handwritten one, and there's like one less heart shape. But besides that, looks extremely similar, but it definitely has that vintage feel to it. So yeah, this is a really handy, quick tip to kind of repurpose your designs or recreate them for a different target customer. What's also been extremely useful for me is the ability to make changes to your design in terms of the layout, the phrase that's being used, or even the graphic independently of each other without really affecting the existing design much. And here's an example of a t-shirt design with a horse that says just a girl who loves horses. When it generated this, I didn't really like the fact that all of the text is stacked underneath the graphic. I wanted to have it split up more. So that's what I described down here. Change the text layout so that just a girl who is above the horse and loves horses is below the horse. And then it regenerated this and changed the layout. I would have probably liked maybe this to be on one line, or just a girl who to be in one line, so it's not as stretched out, but still it's listened to my command very, very directly. And if you wanted to have it even, more concrete, you could say just a girl who on one line at the top of the horse, and same with this. So the more specific you are, the more likely you're going to get the result that you want. Next up, I said change the text to just a boy who loves horses and make the color scheme more boyish. So I wanted essentially the same design, just in a boy version, without really changing much, and that's exactly what it did. Just a boy, loves horses, it's tinted it blue, but the layout, the graphic, it looks pretty much exactly the same. And then I also said keep the text the same, but put the horse graphic in front of a vintage sunset, just to see how we can swap out the graphic there. And it did that very effectively too. It has changed the layout here, which does kind of make sense because we've got a round vintage sunset now, and having that same layout that we had before would look very, very weird. So yeah, just a few examples to show you that you can make changes individually to certain design elements or aspects of your design without changing the rest, and therefore kind of make adjustments as you see fit with some very simple conversations. Tip number 5 is describing images as a t-shirt prompt. So if you found this design, for example, and you're not sure how to create a prompt or write a prompt for this kind of graphic, then just screenshot it, throw it into here and said, if you had to describe this image as a t-shirt design prompt, how would you do it? And then here we go. We've got a very detailed prompt that's come back from ChatGPT. And you can also make changes to the prompt without really having to write the text yourself or even copy this, because you could say, what if it were an owl instead of a wolf and more of a mountain scene inside the silhouette? So that's what I wanted to kind of change within the prompt without having to rewrite this entire long piece of text myself. So that's what it did right here. I rewrote that, put the owl in there, and changed the other aspects of this to different mountain range keywords. And then I also told it to generate that prompt that it just came up with, that new iteration. And there we go. I think that looks really cool. And it definitely has that original kind of style and vibe, but it made the adjustments that I asked for. So really, really handy. You don't have to then also use ChatGPT 4.0 to generate the images. And the idea with obviously describing things as a prompt is you can then also take that prompt, run it through another tool, right? But I wanted to show you that workflow right here of then also changing the prompt and creating the graphic within ChatGPT. Another powerful way to utilize ChatGPT is to ask it to help you come up with ideas. So for example, I want to create some funny birthday t-shirt designs for a boy aged 3 to 8 years who loves trains. And do you have any ideas? And it comes up with a long list of ideas right here, not all of which are good. So there will definitely be some random stuff that's maybe not necessarily as funny as ChatGPT things. That's in the nature of AI, but I did see a few good ideas right here. For example, a cartoon engine puffing smoke that forms the number 3. So think having a train, a steam engine that has a smoke cloud with the number of the birthday in it. That would be really cool, or the number of the boy, the age of the boy. The other thing that I saw was this 7 and steaming, or steaming, which that made me think that we could have a phrase such as steaming into 3, steaming into 4, whatever the new year of the birthday boy is. Maybe that's something we could utilize as a phrase, because you'll often see graphics that are birthday themed for kids. If they're related to a vehicle, to an object, then there's some sort of verb associated with that object, with that vehicle, and that is mixed with the age, right? So for example, crushing it since 2020 is a common phrase for monster truck designs or birthday themed monster truck designs. And yeah, so that was my idea essentially after reading through this. You can find more ideas in this for sure, but that's just what stood out to me at a glance. It also gives design tips right here for the color palette, etc. And then I said, essentially, I told it my idea and what I wanted to do, and it gave some more info. And then we started to generate. And here we've got the first iteration of that, which didn't turn out perfect, to be honest. So this looks a lot like Thomas the Tank Engine to me. And I also put the text twice, but that's fine. As you learned in the last tip, you can easily iterate by just giving it a bit of feedback right here. And then we've already got a version that doesn't look like Thomas the Tank Engine anymore, and it's gotten rid of the text at the bottom. So yeah, I didn't get this to be exactly the way I wanted to, but I think it's definitely a good idea that I wouldn't have been able to come up with myself as easily. So asking it, giving it some specific direction of, that's the niche, this is the kind of person I want to target, and it's meant to be a birthday design or a funny design, a vintage design, should definitely help you come up with some new unique ideas. And then you can also have it quickly kind of mocked up or thrown together right here. Even if you don't use exactly what ChatGPT comes up with, you can still use that as a visual reference to then create a more specific design later if you're not happy with this result, for example. Tip number 7 is related to Milo. So I uploaded a photo of him right here and said, turn this dog into a detailed pencil hand drawing on a white background and add the word Milo in his script font. I wanted to have it kind of turned into art and a personalized feel. So in this case, I actually hit a temporary limit, which does happen. I'll show you some tips to get around this as well afterwards, but just so you know, you're not alone. It happens to me too. So I had to wait about 7 minutes, and then it came up with this sketch, which I think looks absolutely amazing. It's definitely hit Milo on the nail right there. Definitely looks a lot like him. Very close to the image as well. It's written Milo out underneath very, very nicely. So this can be useful for many things, especially I think on Etsy if you want to offer personalized listings, whether that is print-on-demand products or digital downloads. This is a very advanced way to quickly turn a photo into an art piece. And you can obviously ask for different styles, right? If you want a cartoon themed image, you just ask for that instead of a detailed pencil hand drawing. So you can definitely get creative with this, and I'm really impressed with how good this result looks with Milo. And now one thing that you probably didn't realize is you can also have it generate multiple images for you, one after another, without interruption, without you having to tell it, now do the next one, now do the next one. So here's an example. I said, generate these 3 prompts as individual images, and I gave it 3 very specific prompts right here. And then it started to think a little bit and went off. So this is the first design. I don't know why it pasted it twice, but then we've got the second one. As you can see, there's no interruption right here, no text from me, no response. I just carried on doing this. I had it open on a separate window, and after 2 or 3 minutes, it was done with the second and the third image as well. Here you can see the actual time it took, 4 minutes 35 seconds, but I'll show you a faster method later on as well. But anyway, this is really handy because that way you don't have to keep chatting to it, and you can have it generate things in the background for you whilst you're doing a different task. Tip number 9 is combining 2 images and making them one. So in this example, I uploaded a dabbing astronaut and a Van Gogh style bear, and this is what Chat came up with. I think it looks pretty damn cool, very unique and creative for sure. And if used properly, I'm pretty sure this method will help a lot of you come up with some very creative and unique t-shirt designs. And the only thing I didn't like right here is the kind of square format. I wanted it to be more portrait. So that's another thing you can do. You can say, change it to a 4x5 format as an example. And here we go. I think the end result looks pretty damn cool. So this next tip is going to help you out if you hit the rate limit. If Chat tells you have to wait 7 minutes or 20 minutes, few hours, whatever it is, you should be able to click on Sora up here, and that will open up an entirely new tab, and you should still be able to generate images in this. At least it's been working for me. They don't cancel each other out. This is meant for videos, but you can still create static images with it. So the way to do it is right here, you just paste your prompt, and then you've got a few options. So type, image, or video. You've got the ratio. So if you want more of a portrait t-shirt design format, you can choose that as well. And then you can also change how many versions. So you can have 2 images generated at the same time. It's pretty cool. You can also append an image reference with this plus symbol if you want to, and then just hit create image. This is also useful if you want to work on multiple projects at the same time. Then you can have Sora open on one side and GPT on the other, and you'll be able to find your images right here in the My Media tab. So whilst that's running, let's paste another prompt into here. It does take a while, obviously, but as you can see, you can add multiple prompts and generations into the queue. And there we have it. That's the first result. We can click on this, take a closer look at the design. You can also edit the prompt and remix it at the bottom. And I think those are some really cool results. Let's see what the second one comes back with. And there we have it. That is ChatGPT 4.0's interpretation of the bear design with the Van Gogh style. The previous version that I showed you, that came out of Ideogram, but this looks pretty decent as well. Then if you want to download these designs, you just click on these 3 dots and you can hit download right here. What happens if you click select? Right, so you can have multiple selected and download them in bulk. I didn't know that, but yeah, hopefully a good tip right here to speed up your workflow and get around that annoying rate limit. Now, if that's still not fast enough for you and you want to create a lot of designs very quickly with the 4.0 model, then one solution would be using MyDesigns. They have what's called Dream AI, and this is an AI art generator with lots and lots of models to choose from. As you can see, there's Ideogram, Flux in here, there's Recraft, and if you go to the GPT image 1 model, that is the 4.0 image generator by ChatGPT. And what we can do now is we can enable parallel prompts, which will allow us to paste 10, 20 prompts into this box, and then each of those prompts will generate 2 images simultaneously. And within about a minute and a half usually, you can have 20, 40 results back from the same model that you're using inside of ChatGPT, which is super powerful. So let me show you how to do this. I will go to my t-shirt prompting wizard, which is a custom GPT I built. You can get access to this inside of my school community, and I'll ask it for some prompts for a specific niche right here. So let's do camping, for example, and then it will spit out some prompts that are optimized for t-shirt designs in the right format, and it will also separate them right here effectively so we can just paste them into MyDesigns. So I'll copy the first 10 for this example and then go back to this, paste all of my prompts into the box. And with these settings up here, I would recommend using 1 by 1 because that affects the credits, as you can see, because this isn't free, it does still cost credits to run these prompts. And the quality slider, if you turn this down, it does also decrease the amount of credits quite significantly. However, I have found that even the medium setting, it's not the greatest results. The high setting is what we get on ChatGPT. So I would recommend that if you want the best results. And then I'll click Dream right here at the bottom, and it's going to essentially add all of those prompts to the queue and start generating them. And there we go. It's about a minute and a half later max, and we've got a bunch of designs right here that are all optimized for the camping niche, and they've been generated very easily with this method. Didn't have to wait forever and have some sort of bugs with the loading on ChatGPT. Is this the cheapest way to run the model? No, definitely not. But if speed and efficiency is your priority, then this is a good option. So I will have a link to MyDesigns in the description down below. You can just sign up with the free plan and then get credits, kind of pay as you go with this model and try it out. And by the way, the designs that you like, you can just click on them right here to highlight them. And then once you're done selecting, you can download them to your device and process them how you usually do. Or you can also save them into MyDesigns, which has cloud storage. And then you can remove the background there, vectorize, and do other things in bulk, such as even listing them on Etsy or on a Shopify store, for example. Speaking of custom GPTs, one thing that a lot of you struggle with is writing listings for Amazon merch, and I've created a custom GPT that will help you with exactly that. This one is public. I'll have a link to it in the description, and there's 3 different ways to use it. You can either create a listing based on a niche, or create a listing based on very specific keywords if you want to give it a list of keywords to include, or you can just upload your design with this third option. It will scan the design and then write a listing based on that. So let's just do the second option right here for this example, and let's imagine we're doing a camping design. So I'll give it a few keywords that are relevant for camping, and then I'm going to hit enter on this, and now it should give you a minimal listing as well as a traditional listing, meaning here we just have a title and a brand name with some of the most important keywords: camping, hiking, camper van. Not as much fluff as you would get if you have, bullet 1 and bullet 2 filled in as well. But if you prefer having more keywords in your listing, you have that option down here as well. Now, a quick warning, this is AI, and even though I've trained this GPT to give you results that are more applicable to Amazon merch, it's still not perfect, and I would only use these as a starting off point and still read them and potentially take out some keywords that are relevant or make no sense, and then add in keywords that are actually relevant based on your research. Because what ChatGPT can't do is actually scan Amazon and do research for you and find out, what are the most important keywords to include in the listing. But nevertheless, here we've got enjoy the great outdoors with this nature-inspired design featuring camping, hiking, and camper van life, perfect for outdoor lovers and nature enthusiasts. And then it even adds some keywords down here for the target audience and some holidays. Yeah, so there we go. You can easily copy and paste these right here, put them into your fields whilst you're uploading. And yeah, I hope you like this GPT. Also open to feedback. Let me know if you test this out, how it goes, and drop your comments down below. Another GPT that can be really handy to help you out with your niche research is this Subniche Sniper right here. I'll have a link to this in the description as well. And this will essentially help you generate sub-niches and target audience for whichever niche you put into here. So if we stick with the camping example, if I hit enter on that, it's going to give me 25 highly targeted sub-niches for the camping niche. And we've got tent camping, we've got RV and camper van life, we've got campfires, hammock camping, which I've never heard of, and also describes target audience down here of who this might apply to. So this way, you're going to get some ideas. Glamping is one that I've seen on shirts for sure. Camping with dogs, that's great. So you're going to get a lot of ideas for potential sub-niches to target, which is always a good way to stand out and have an easier time getting sales in some of these very broad and competitive niches. And then at the end, it also says, would you like a downloadable table or visual chart of these sub-niches and audience? So let's say yes and just see what it comes up with. Let's download this right here. Nice. And now we have essentially a spreadsheet with the different sub-niches and the target audience all in one place. And that way we don't have to scroll through ChatGPT's old chats endlessly, and we have it saved on our device. And a quick bonus tip of something to avoid and not to use ChatGPT for. Here, I created a t-shirt design for taco lovers, and I then told it to upscale this by 4x. And after a little while, it gave me a download link to the upscaled version. Now, this all sounds really good. However, when I took a closer look at this upscaled graphic, I realized something that is quite alarming. So I'm inside of Photoshop right here. I have the original design, which is 1000 by 1000 pixels, opened up, and I'm zooming in so you can see kind of the pixelation of that version. If I hide this now, you're going to see the upscaled version by 4.0, which is 4000 by 4000 pixels. So it definitely is at a higher dimension. It's changed the size, but if I hide this, it looks exactly the same. So again, this is the original, this is the upscaled version. There's no difference really. It's not done an upscale, it's just changed the size. And just to compare it to a true upscale, I use the free software Upscale right here for this last version. So let me hide this layer. There we are. That actually looks a lot more crisp. And as you can see, it's improved a lot of the details, whereas the original, looked terribly, terribly pixelated. So this is very important, I think, to note, because I've seen some people say that they've been able to remove the background, upscale, and save it the right dimensions all within ChatGPT, but you're not really upscaling. The graphic is going to look terrible once printed, so still use external upscalers or vectorizers for this job, because it's not there yet, or maybe it doesn't understand upscaling, I'm not sure. So be aware of that. Upscaling doesn't work effectively. If you enjoyed this video and you want to thank Milo for his hard work and dedication, if you learned something new from this video today and you want to thank Milo for all of his hard work and research that went into this video, then just leave a like down below. And if you're struggling to remove backgrounds effectively from your AI art, then check out this tutorial next.